Welcome to episode 442 of This Week in League. I'm Nate.
And I'm Jay.
And I'm Glenn.
Tonight we have a special episode. It's the second time that we've had our Ask the Agent Spectacular. And joining us, as always, for these episodes is our long-time listener and young lad with his own stories in the TWiL Nation lore that will not come up.
Look.
Michael from Strive.
I'd go so far as to say protege.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do feel a tremendous sense of pride seeing how far he's come since the 2016 Grand Final.
I couldn't go much lower, so that's good. G'day, guys.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad. I've still got my possessions unlike in 2016, so doing well.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Now, we put out to our listeners if they had any questions that they wanted to have a real agent answer, and they've given us a ton of questions, but is there anything you want to open up with? I mean, I think the first thing you should do is, I guess, give us a little bit of a recap of your first full year since we last spoke to you as an accredited agent.
Well, I was going to say, I think we should start off for all the new listeners
and with
explaining what Strive is, who you are, and what you do.
And then once you've done that, I think you should then go into the piece of big news in terms of your recent signing.
Yeah, of course. So I guess for those who don't know me, my name is Michael Redpath. I've been around TWiL scene since about 2016, as we mentioned before. I'm an accredited player and I run my own agency called Strive Player Agency. I'm Canberra-based, but I do look after players all around Australia and overseas. Last time I spoke on the show was about a year ago, and I had only a couple of people signed to my name. Since then, I've got around 50 people that I manage. And yeah, from all levels, from your junior reps all the way through to Queensland Cup, New South Wales Cup, things like that. And it was only recently, actually, that I signed my first regular NRL player, which was super exciting. I got told when I first started that it could take anywhere between 2 and 5 years, depending on how hard I worked. But managed to get it done just about the 12-month mark. So super stoked to have skin in the game, so to speak. I think I've got a number of players that I manage that would make the NRL, and you will see them there, but to have one already in there is just been phenomenal.
So we're playing with the big boys. How fucking good. That is, mate, that is an astronomical first year. And it's not even like, and you're obviously fucking the Robbie Farah of tooting your own horn. And by that I mean you shit out.
I'm a humble guy, mate. Unlike Glennie.
Just to give...
Hey! Did I get a drive-by? I'm sitting here just fucking listening to...
But to give everybody out there some background, it's not like Michael was working for another agency or working in or around the game, and so was able to foster these relationships or even understand the landscape that he's fucking meant to operate in. He was working in a completely different industry, corporate suit and tie, and has followed a passion and has started the agency from nothing. It's not
from literally standing zero start.
Like, not even with the phone numbers of people to call in his phone, and starting something on your own, Nate, you'd attest to this, starting something on your own is hard enough when you have maybe one or two contacts or clients to kickstart you with.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've done that from a cold start is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm sure your family and those close to you have given you all the praise in the world, but the three of us speak about it often, just how extraordinary that achievement is on its own.
Never spoken about it once. Never mentioned. First time your name's ever come up.
I bet, mate. So I guess to go further into the background, I am a practicing lawyer, so I thought I had the transferable skills of things like negotiating, contracts and things like that. But as Jay said, I did come with a completely blank slate. So yeah, had to get all the contacts all myself. Had to kind of learn the art of approaching people, not in a creepy way. Didn't learn that from Glennie, obviously. But
I feel like this. I feel like there's a
so
pattern
essentially
developing
how
here.
got it started, I reached out to some of the bigger agents because they're the ones that run the player agent board. I asked for a bit of tentative advice because they said they didn't want to weigh in too many commercial secrets, which was just fantastic. So I took that and kind of learned the ins and outs myself. So I probably actually wasn't qualified to discuss any of it 12 months ago when we talked, but I feel like I have a better understanding of it all now.
How good's that? A board for a fucking industry made up entirely of those people to stop anybody else getting in and diluting their share of the industry. How fucking fantastic.
It sounds exactly like my perception of player agents,
Well,
other
thank
than
you.
yourself, Michael, of course.
Well, this first year as well. I mean, it's been fairly smooth going. I haven't seen your name in the newsprint, particularly like around player not necessarily player misbehaviour, but like players being belligerent around contracts and or trying to break contracts and manager or agent agitated
Yeah, it's been good to
moves and all
stay
that
out
sort of thing.
any bad press, but I suppose I'm not a big enough fish at this stage to really target. But hopefully I can continue to fly under the radar of any bad press.
Fuck that. Any attention's good attention, brah. Hook in.
Yeah, I mean, you are aware of the recent cases of people like Isaac Moses. That I would probably disagree. Do you fellas have any questions that you want to ask up top, or should we just get into the ones that the listeners have put down for us?
I'm interested as to how you and it's probably speaks to your skill set as a lawyer, but when you were just kicking off, say that first 3 to 6 months, and you're getting no real help or assistance or guidance from your peers in that industry that you're so new to, did you just follow your gut, or did you just fucking guess and fudge your way and fake it till you make it sort of thing, as far as who to talk to, what skills you worked out quickly on the run you needed to have? How did you navigate your way through that first 6 months? 3 months really, but 6 months.
Yeah, the first 3 months was the most difficult time. But I say I survived a lot on instincts. There was a lot of times where, my first few clients where I had to pitch to them to trust that I would figure it out and I would do a great job for them. So I'm very appreciative of my first few clients. I'll always have a special place in my heart. But essentially it was all about, trying to get people to sign up when I didn't have any experience. I didn't know what I was doing. And learning as I went every day. So, I didn't exactly fake it. I wouldn't say I was faking it, so I wasn't promising them the world.
I didn't mean that in a derogatory term. It was like fucking, it's completely new to you, and you've got to figure it out.
That's right. I basically said, come on the journey with me and we'll learn it together. Okay.
Because you're dealing with professional athletes or future professional athletes, there's an element of ego there. Like they'll smell weakness if you give the impression that you were that new to the game, if you know what I mean. Like you had to put forth a perception that shit was going to work out, and you had the confidence in yourself to make it work.
Well, the first promise I gave to any of them, because the first couple of clients I signed, they had a manager before, had a terrible experience. So I asked them what went wrong, and it was the fact that their manager never spoke to them. They were promised that the manager would speak to them once every 6 months, which is crazy to think about, but they wouldn't hear from them in a whole year. So I said, look, I'll stay in constant communication with you. I'll give you regular updates. I'll find out what's going on. And that seemed to sway a few people to begin with.
And what does that look like? Like, is that a weekly thing or a monthly? Or it varies?
I'd say every 2 or 3 weeks. Being a younger age and things like that, I can just hit them up with a quick message on any form of social media, be it Instagram or Messenger, things like that. Whereas I guess if you had one of the older lads, you're not gonna be DMing each other at 10 p.m.
No.
For instance. So I guess that was my initial promise, that regardless of how much I knew about the industry, that I'd keep you updated with how we were going.
Have you seen the TV show where The Rock plays a player agent?
I actually watched that very recently, and I wish it was like that.
I was going to say, if you need a dorky, bald, white offshoot, would you consider Glenn to come and work with you?
Well, I think I'd need to be bald and jacked in that, in that scenario, but sure.
Nice.
Before we get into the questions from the listeners, I just want to ask, on your books as it stands at the moment, do you have any potential halves for the Broncos coming through?
I have a very promising halfback from Toowoomba. He's 18 years old. His name's Matty. I've already warned him about Glenn, given him a few photos, mugshots.
Motherfucker!
This man might induce you to enter into any number of agreements, so beware of him. But my fella from Toowoomba is 18 and dominating in an under-21s Queensland reps comp, so it could be him.
Yeah, wow. Do you know
the one that got away from Glennie?
I tell you what, it'll be that time that seems the most legit that you can't be there to protect him. It'll be right before he goes on the game. Someone will come out and need to give him a COVID mouth swab.
You guys are making this really creepy. Just so you know, revelation.
Yeah, I watched a documentary about some guy that escaped from North Korea from a prison camp. So I imagine that's what it's like in Glenn's shed as the kids try to make their way out. They don't know anything about the outside world other than playing footy and returning to the shed.
This episode's called Ask the Agent, not Glenn fends off another cunt. Okay, so...
All right, without further ado, let's hit the questions. First one from Aaron. He asks, we hear so much about players being on minimum wage. Besides the train and trial type arrangements, what is the actual NRL minimum wage?
So it used to be $110,000 for a top 30 roster bloke. They had to make some cutbacks to all of the bargaining agreement and the salary cap. So now it is about $90,000. There's also 6 players, or up to 6 players in the squad that can get a development contract, which is worth $60,000. But if you're on that development contract, then you also get $1,000 if you train twice a week, like the train and trial guys.
Okay.
Fucking hell! Does the receptionist spit on him?
At that stage, you'd think so. I mean, they get other little perks. You can get if you're doing an apprenticeship, that can get paid for, and you can get leave away from home allowance, things like that. But that's why it's for development players. It's for people under the age of 20.
Tell me, in all seriousness, that's probably a really good segue. Are there any clubs that still have a focus on, sure, you're a promising player of the future, but we want you to have a trade or do a university course or TAFE or something while you're in our development squad? Are there any clubs that you've seen or heard are better at that than others?
Yeah, so an example, being from Canberra myself, the Raiders, unless you're a top 30 guy, you have to either be studying or working. They won't let you play if you're not doing that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So other clubs I know do it as well. I don't know how strict they are. Maybe they just encourage you, and it's up to you if you want to take that up. But I know, using the Raiders as an example, is they're very tough on it.
Yeah, wow. Good.
Okay, one from Mitch. So obviously I have to skim through some of the ones that are just trollish. But Mitch said, we hear people say it, but is there a legitimate lack of talent coming through?
After watching a lot of, your junior reps and even some of the country footy, I'd say there's no lack of talent there. There's lots of talented people that just give up the game to, go live their life and just live a normal life. So I'd say lots of players are getting diverted away from it. I'd say there's been a lack of development. That's been the issue. I mean, the last 2 years, there's been half a season in New South Wales because of COVID. So that might stunt the game. But I think there's, a great deal of talent there, and it's a lot of untapped as well.
Yep. Okay, Gary said, what's the normal procedure for a 14 to 6-year-old who just gets noticed? Is it an NRL club offering a scholarship, and what does that look like? What happens if it's a scout or agent who approaches you?
So,
you guys going to say, I really enjoyed the last time.
Thanks a lot, mate. So I guess, if you're in those kind of formative years, 14 to 16, if a club's really interested in you, I know the Broncos have a lot of juniors, as do several other clubs, including the Titans. So talking about Queensland clubs. Some players do get signed to those contracts from an early age, and then they're just put through the feeder systems. Whereas other talented kids will just get put through their junior rep systems, and they'll say, well, yeah, great, we'll see how great you are when you're 18 and you're looking at kind of transitioning towards the men's game. If you were to be approached by an agent or a scout instead of a club, all they'd do is kind of try and get you on the pathway so that you were trying to make your way towards the NRL. Because, I mean, that's something I sell a lot of kids on. It's like, there's certain steps you have to take in order to become an NRL player, much like any profession if you want to work your way to the top. And one of them is, being in an established junior rep system or, say if you didn't do that, kid, being in a system where there are pathways to the NRL and it's not a dead end.
Yep. Okay, Scott said, what is the most backwards thing that is placing a handbrake on player development? It could be official rules or unofficial. For instance, I always wonder whether the not enough talent argument is because there's actually not enough talent, or if junior players are scared off trying to aim for the top because of how arduous and hard the path is to crack a spot. Like if we elevate the cup competitions to a college NFL style level with proper television coverage, will more junior players stick with it, or is it really that a lot of kids aren't signing up anymore?
Oh, well, without knowing the recruitment numbers and the junior football numbers, I'd say one of the biggest things that's stunting player developments is the current development fee structure. So say if you've played with a club or in a system for 2 years and suddenly they can whack a development fee on you if you try and leave. So say if you're in one system, you go leave to the other, that club which you're leaving can whack $5,000 on you if you're moving in Australia. Now, if you're 18 years old, many clubs, even the rich ones, don't want to pay $5,000 for someone that's 10% better than their locals because their locals come free to them. Another thing too, lots of guys trying to come out from New Zealand. That's $7,500 for a fee. So again, they might have been overlooked by the Warriors system, so they're not in a rep system over there, and they want to come to Australia, but for whatever reason, they still have the development fee slapped on them, which can be waived, and you can apply for an exemption, but a lot of the time people want to make their money, so I think lots of people end up, just spending years in a system where they're being overlooked or not serviced properly, and they come to the end of their tether there and they either quit or just keep playing second fiddle with someone else in their position.
Right. Okay. Trent said, I've heard some recent terrible stories of kids who get an NRL contract and have their heads screwed on, yet the clubs have then dictated they drop education to go all eggs into NRL life. At least 2 clubs have done this in recent months. He doesn't name them. One, a player who was about to graduate from a GPS school on a full scholarship for rugby union, said the club encouraged him to quit GPS school term 4 of grade 12 pre-graduation and enroll in their NRL-aligned public school of non-education in grade 11 and to repeat grade 12 in 2022 so the NRL club could keep a better eye on him. Parents apparently just wanted him to graduate and finish the year, then repeat the next year, and despite the football year being over, they were told it was changed now or no contract. We'll hit that one first, and then we'll hit the next one. Next, do you have any comment on that one?
Yeah, look, that's a very specific example, I guess, of someone leaving a particular school. I mean, getting saved from rugby union is never a bad thing. So I sympathise with that. I think at the end of the day, if you're going to be a footy player, while it's great that you have your year 12 and things like that, if you're already NRL signed, then there's you're a prospect to play professionally one day. So I guess you would be trading off education in that sense. I'm not sure about being told to repeat school and things like that. I don't know why you'd be under any better microscope there than if you were out just working and playing for their feeder club. So yeah, that's very strange, and I guess it's a kind of public school versus private school type of conversation.
It seems really strange if it's if it's term 4 of grade 12 when the club could probably would be able to keep them under wraps and monitor them if they were playing in their feeder system outside of schooling. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, multiple clubs have multiple feeder teams, so you could easily just be watched for one of those feeder teams instead of being at a school where you're told to go to science for the second year in a row where you know the course. And
Yeah. So here's the other one. It says the other one was a player enrolled in the University of Queensland, had done 2 years of study while coming through the ranks and signed with the Sydney club, who have advised him to drop uni. Family suggested he cut back to 1 to 2 subjects a semester, which could be done externally, but the club said he needed to commit full time to the NRL or the deal was off the table. I'm interested in a manager's perspective of this, without naming and shaming clubs, but happy if you want to. What is your perspective of clubs' efforts on assisting a life outside the NRL bubble? Is the historical football or nothing motto still at play? I think the agent is conflicted in such situations in that potentially all they get is reward for the actual contract, so the associated life skills from other activity can be pushed aside at the cost of the individual. The kid in such circumstances will obviously just do anything to get the gig. Obviously, the percentage of kids who actually make it is low, so I would love a manager's opinion on the level of care he sees from clubs, and if possible, an example of clubs being above such fuckery. So I guess Canberra's one that you mentioned earlier that do prioritise life outside of footy.
Yeah, another one's the Eels as well. I've got a guy coming over to play in their rep system, and they said, "Oh, what's he going to do?" And I said, "Well, he's still trying to figure it out." They said, "Well, we're not interested in it as a player unless he has something going for him outside of the game." So,
yep,
had to help him find something with that. Every club has an allowance.
So hang on, can we just go back? Did you straight away just say to them, "Can you explain to me what Clint Gutherson has going for him, even within the game?"
That's a good point. But every club gets money to assist, which players can. I forget the exact amount, but players can ask for several $1,000s to go towards things like uni courses and, as I said, trades and fitness courses, things like that. So, yeah, again, that sounds like a very specific example. And at the end of the day, I think you could still do online uni on the sly, if you really wanted to, and you were told. You just have to do it at night, which lots of people do who are working professionals. They do their uni at night. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you can defer it for a year or two, and the world's not going to end. So I think it would be based on the person. For a sure thing to play in the NRL, the NRL, I guess, had an academic team this year, so clearly they are pushing for players to do other things. Outside of football, right. So yeah.
Josh says the media makes it seem like the majority of first graders are represented by like 3 or 4 managers. Do you roughly know how many NRL player managers there are? Also, do you believe, once again the talent thing comes up, do you believe there's not enough talent available in Australia, and would the Dolphins really change the metrics as much as people seem to be saying it does?
I guess I'll answer the first question. There's about 100 player agents in total. Some of them I don't know. Some of them, there's like some big names there that I don't know even manage anyone, but they just have their accreditation for whatever reason. And so what happens is there's 4 or 5 big players in terms of companies, and within those companies there's 4 or 5, one agent that's the big agent for each. But all the players are actually signed to the player agency companies. So that way, if the agent gets deregistered, then the company's still looking after players, and you don't have 100 free players. They were trying to regulate deregistered agents from making money off their companies in which they used to serve. Unless you forensically checked their bank account or had the powers to stop them, then I don't think there is any way in which you can stop them receiving money under the table. That's the way it kind of works. Lots of agents, less well-known agents do join those big agencies, and they have lesser responsibilities. Sometimes it costs money to share in the dividends. Where some you have to actually land some clients for them and things like that. So I decided to not reach out to anyone, and I decided to go out on my own. I like being my own boss and things like that. That was the question. Sorry about the agents. And the second half of the question was about Redcliffe and the talent. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm firmly of the opinion that if you get an NRL system with some firm NRL players, regardless of who they sign as marquee guys, I think they'll really lift those kind of fringe players at the moment who are the best of the Queensland Cup and New South Wales Cup to be an NRL standard. I 100% believe with proper pre-season and proper NRL training, I think that there could be more NRL ready players.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys watched the Queensland Cup final. There's a lot of NRL currently guys in there between Wynnum and North, but the standard was the standard was great, and immediately there was articles from the Courier Mail saying these guys were playing and they should be signed by NRL clubs right now, which I'm of the firm belief that all of the players that were listed in that article could play in the NRL.
Yep. Agreed. Okay, Zoran says, what from the US sporting contract landscape would you like to see introduced or adopted into Australian professional sports contracts? And if so, what positive effect would those contract changes have for the players and the game?
Might be an unpopular opinion, but I'd like every salary to be recorded and everyone can see it. Everyone knows who's making what. I know that's a bit invasive, but in America, if you wanted to look up the Los Angeles Lakers salaries, it'll show you what everyone's making. It'll show you what everyone's making for the next 5 years. So everyone knows exactly how much money is being spent on the cap. That way, say if hypothetically Kalen Ponga became available, you'd see, okay, there's actually only 4 teams that can afford him right now, and that happens with NBA too. Some guy, they're like, oh, these are the 4 markets that he could go to based on the available money. So I think that would be a lot better.
That's fascinating. Can you imagine that as an agent, though? You're trying to go, and this is, for the actual honest ones like you, who are actually just trying to sit down and get your players into a good environment for them, right? And by that I mean like a good environment, not just most money wins. Can you imagine those shit cunt snake agents saying, don't sign with them, and we'll tell them that you fielded offers from 4 other teams? That the club could then look around and go, look, we've had a look, and the only club with room for you is the Bulldogs. So what are we fucking doing here?
Well, that's what I mean. I think the transparency would be fantastic. I mean, as I said,
it'd be amazing.
It sucks to have everyone know how much you earn and things like that. But literally in every American sport, you can look it up on Google right now, and you can see who's earning what.
Yeah, well, you know what? Have a look at every publicly listed company. Have a look at the board. Have a look at the directors. It's not something that never happens to have predominant people's salaries made public.
No, that's right. And I mean, you wouldn't record all the the branding and third party deals you have anyway, so it wouldn't be the exact amount they get in their pocket anyway.
Yeah.
It'd just be their contract for their clubs. No, I agree. That would be good. Now, it would also stop people bitching about the Roosters, and I mean, just imagine, as far as the signal to noise on social media,
Thor.gif.
just removing. Can you just imagine if you just removed, salary sombrero and Uncle Nick talk completely?
But how though? It'd be like, paper bag. It's brown paper bags.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I suppose so. I guess their actual contracts have never been the problem, have they?
No.
It's all the stuff around the outside.
Yeah.
At least they'd have some documented proof of look, this is how all of these players fit under our NRL salary cap.
Exactly, and then you could see oh wait, that guy plays State of Origin. Why does it say here he makes $100,000? Let's look into that.
Do you know what's spookier than seeing a black cat on Halloween? It's shaving your balls with anything other than Manscaped. When it comes to below-the-waist grooming, there's no need to carve your pumpkins this Halloween because Manscaped is here to upgrade your grooming experience. Go from a bite-sized candy to a king-size candy bar and join the 2 million men worldwide by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code TWiLNation.
Now, I'm sure all of you know Halloween is becoming a much more popular holiday in Australia, and as happens with popular holidays, those fucking horrid big retail companies try to gouge us, and shit gets expensive on Halloween. However, if you have a Lawnmower 4.0, so many different parts of your Halloween adventure become cheap as shit. So not only are we going to give you grooming advice, but we can give you fucking take to the bank budgeting advice. What's cool at the moment? Vampires. Have you seen the popular Twilight movies? All of those fuckers in there are smooth as toddlers. Simply shave yourself fucking bald, turn up naked, and say you're a fucking sparkly vampire. All it's going to cost you is $4.95 for some glitter. Or, if a bunch of little shits come to your house and say trick or treat, and you say,
I've got
trick.
a treat.
No, Glenn, you don't want to appear on a watch list.
Well, it's too late now. He's on the watch list because of that.
But you say trick, And then as they get prepared to throw eggs at your house, you open your palm and blow into their gobs a fistful of your freshly shaven short and curlies. You know how hard it is to throw an egg while you're choking on a stranger's pubes? Very.
Speaking from experience.
Or, if you do want to just give them treats, take a new turn on the classic chocolate crackle and dump a handful of them in there and call them chocolate spiders. You'll be the most popular guy on your street. There's 3 ways that your Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 will not only save your dignity, but save you money.
Look, it's well known that I'm a very smooth character in most places, but it wasn't all that long ago where I had a werewolf in my pants. And I'm happy to share that with you, gentlemen, because I trust you with my life. The werewolf in my pants was howling. It was howling for some attention. And I found the Lawnmower 4.0 and I gave it that attention. And it is now a freshly groomed, trimmed, delightful-looking werewolf. Not a particularly large werewolf, but it's delightfully well maintained.
Would you say it's a teen wolf?
I would.
More like a prep wolf.
It's like Muppet Babies, but werewolf version.
I gave my werewolf some extra attention with Manscaped's liquid formulations, the Crop Preserver, it's a ball deodorant, and the Crop Reviver, ball toner. The werewolf was howling with delight. No one could hear it because it's too small. But don't take my word for it. Get amongst it yourself. Get your own werewolf in check. They've got a bunch of other life-changing products on their website, so be sure to check it out.
And get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TWiLNation at manscaped.com. That is 20% off plus free shipping with the code TWiLNation at manscaped.com. Say trick or treat to your new beautiful Halloweeny with Manscaped. They've absolutely fucking nailed you with the coffee there.
I love it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, Toto said, most clubs have multiple feeder teams. When a new player is signed with an NRL club, how do they decide which feeder team they represent? Also, do feeder teams have a say in who they get? For example, Brenko Lee will probably play more reserves in NRL games. So it's more beneficial for North South's Wynnum to have him than, say, Capewell/Reynolds. I think first point there is Brenko Lee may play more first grade than you're comfortable with as a Brisbane Broncos fan. I mean, you've got Katoni Staggs there, for as many games as his knee allows, and who? Brenko walks
Herbie.
in.
Oh, you?
Yeah, Brenko. They'll push Herbie out, and Brenko will walk into a centre position.
What representative centre Brenko Lee?
Premiership
Because
winner.
remember they're losing. They've lost Xavier, so they just push Herbie out to a wing, and then Brenko can just walk straight in.
Yeah, I've been watching Brenko.
He'll compete with Capewell.
I've been watching Brenko live since he was at the Raiders. He's a fantastic player to watch. Good fun. But to answer your question, how it works in terms of who plays for the affiliate clubs, generally any club will name their fringe top 30 guys, as they'll say, all right, you're getting pushed here, you're getting pushed here. The players will generally have some say in it, but usually it's just, all right, we've lumped you over here. For the games you're not playing first grade, you're expected to play for this affiliate club. Now, they usually send a list of the guys that will be playing for the affiliates, but to use an example, which is the Broncos, Milford wasn't on that initial list. They didn't expect him to be playing for an affiliate, but then he was pushed to South Logan to go play some Q Cup games during the year. So essentially,
is that close to where he lived?
Yes, actually.
Does anyone know?
Yeah, so geographically, I think he does live down that way. So I think you do get somewhat of a say, but otherwise you don't get a say as to which, when you'll be pushed back to the affiliates, but you do get a say as to which one's the most convenient.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
Right. And then once you've gone to that one club, then whatever the scenario going forward, that's going to be the affiliate year.
Yeah, that's right. So you can't show out for the North Devils the next week if you're with the Souths, Logan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Now, what have we got here? Yana said, how much influence do player managers have over team selections week to week? It's the only reason I can think of why Corey Norman continued to get selected week in, week out over two coaches.
They literally have none. I mean, I guess if you were a player agent that had hundreds of clients and one of your clients was someone like Corey Norman and the club did want to keep show, oh, look what we're doing for one of you guys. Some of the other guys want to come to the club. Look how well we treat them. That is a possibility, but I don't think... I think if you called up Hook to be like, hey, why aren't you playing my guy? It'd be like a parent calling up a coach. Like, they just tell you, fuck off.
Yeah.
I think you could...
And use it...
I was going to say, you could call up and diagnose a problem. You could say, why isn't my guy getting played? But I don't think you could call up and say, hey, play my guy.
Yeah, how much, and I mean, how much rope do you have to do that as well before you become that annoying agent that they don't want to talk to anyway?
Oh, straight away. You could call once, I think, and then after that, dude, fuck off. I know that Glennie calls up several of the TWiL rep teams a lot to talk about other people's children, but yeah.
Can't, it's never happened once. You're drinking this Kool-Aid. The brown Kool-Aid that these cunts are stirring up for you.
Nate, can we please do this episode before the Twillies next year? This is fucking great.
Just have Glenn completely assassinated before. Daniel says, Isaac Moses, discuss please. And then he's gone on to say 3 days later, he's added, i.e., why is he still involved in rugby league?
Well, as I said, he's probably the owner of that company, Cove, who manage several people. I think it would have been passed to, I believe it's his brother or some relation of his that's also an agent. But, I went to a game earlier, a pre-season game earlier in the year with the Bears and the Junior Raiders, and I saw him in the stands with Suali's parents, so I guess he's still kicking around. He made the trip down to Queanbeyan. I don't know if you guys have been to Queanbeyan, but not the nicest town just outside of Canberra.
Not the place you'd go if you were completely hands-off.
You wouldn't be there on a holiday, that's for sure.
Yeah. And like, there's no, and I guess there's no scope for them to really, if on paper he isn't, a hands-on player agent, then there's little scope for them to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, how could you police that? He was not banned from the ground. He's not banned from talking to parents. But he couldn't do any of the negotiating, and I guess technically he wouldn't be entitled to receive any income. Although, as discussed, I'm not sure how they police that.
Yeah. Terry said, could you resurrect Lachlan Lewis's career at an NRL club? Could you have saved John Monahan after he let the dog have a slurp?
Being from Canberra, I'm very familiar with the John Monahan story, but I was just a kid during those times. Lachlan Lewis could probably get signed by another NRL club. People have come back from much worse than stealing some speakers. I don't even think they classify that as a redemption story if you came back from that.
Yeah, do you think that story do you think it's different because people just see the headline and just like it's stealing rather than drunken shenanigans that a footballer does?
You say, there was a bit of mens rea involved. He had the guilty mind and planned it out. Developed an MO, had someone watching his back with a laser pointer. Yeah, it was pretty complex sting.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Yeah, complex for a footy player.
Yeah, there's more than one step involved.
All right, Shane said, with a germ like Moses being deregistered, have things improved on the agent side? Less dodgy shit going on?
I haven't heard of any dodgy shit in a while, actually. I don't know. Can you guys recall any real articles about anything bad happening? I can't of late.
No, I can only recall stuff's told in confidence. So
the only dodgy shit is Luke Brooks was signed to a contract extension not so long ago. There's something fucking up there. Someone needs to look into that.
Well, his player agent's done a remarkable job then. He continues to work hard to keep him in the first grade sphere. But no, as I say, I'm not aware of anything dodgy going on. I think managers have actually, it's been a good year for them in the past 12 months since the Moses was deregistered.
Yeah, really haven't heard anything, have we?
Told you I'd come clean it up, mate.
No, but how many big name transfers have there been?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, I remember
Generally,
earlier in
when
the
you
year there was
hear-
kind of talk about like the Moses having a bunch of players and as a block, which made things difficult in terms of
and that's
renewals,
the
like
thing.
the Broncos and stuff.
The media have quite cleverly clicked onto the fact that if you have a story about a player agent who can potentially have control at your club, that generates beautiful amounts of
and it's funny. I actually when I first started, I got a couple of Fox Sports journos and a couple of Sydney Morning Herald journos call me and asked me, like, out of the blue, like, just got my number off the register and asked me if I had any stories for them without knowing I had any players or anything. And they were like, yeah, save my number. So,
Wow.
yeah, I haven't had to call any of them, nor have they called me back since. But, yeah, it was pretty interesting that they just came fishing.
Fuck. So, mate, you got to start to play the game. You got to hit them and go, have you heard of any unhappy players?
Yeah, that's it.
But with the whole player agent thing being governed by player agents who seem determined to protect their kingdoms as well and their trade secrets and their way of doing business. I mean, you can't a young agent just sort of breaking in. You can't even really.
The headline would be abusive young agent calls up and threatens for information. No, but headline similar.
Yeah. Okay. Brett said, when a player says, I'm letting my manager take care of it, how removed are they? And secondly, how difficult does the RLPA make things?
Usually, that's what the manager's there to do, is to handle those situations. So it's probably the right answer. Technically agents have to act on the client's instructions as well. So I couldn't just say, off to the side, I'll talk about all the money and you'll be happy with the outcome. I have to say, this is their offer. What do you want to do? Mm-hmm. Or give me a range in which you'd be happy with. That's how you're meant to do it. I'm not sure if that's how every player agent does it, but I mean, that's how, being a lawyer, I have to do that for my clients. I can't just go off half-cocked. I have to go off their instructions. So.
Yeah. Yep. So when a player says, I'm letting my manager take care of it, then that means that that's just their way of deflecting and not wanting to answer
to James' question, what if they're an idiot? I get a lot of idiotic commercial clients as well. I say, this is my advice and I strongly advise that you do this. But if you want to do that stupid shit, I will do it for you. It's not going to look good, but let's do it. And then they usually come around. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, and then secondly, he asked, how difficult does the RLPA make things?
Not really at all. Like, they've been pretty helpful every time I've had to really deal with them. I guess I had a current dispute at the moment with one of my players. I'm not going to mention who, but there was a bit of dispute over who was managing him. So they got to the bottom of that. Obviously a signed contract should have been evidence enough, but apparently it wasn't. They stepped in and kind of mediated that. So I didn't have to call it.
So without going into details on that one, like, I mean, how would you, like you said, if you had the signed contract, what was the basis for the dispute then? That wasn't enough.
So essentially, I was reaching out to get a third party deal, but then their old manager tried to get the third party deal on their behalf. So then the third party provider said, "Who the fuck's managing him? And why do I have two people saying it's them?" So then,
Yep.
The RLPS had to step in and say, look, this is who the manager is and this is the contract. You are no longer managing him because he didn't sign a new contract with you.
Yep. Right. Adam said, what sort of conditions are put into the 10-year contracts given that given the 10-year contracts given that there's little chance that the player is any good in 10 years' time?
Well, NRL's all guaranteed money unless you breach your contracts. So there's no real conditions other than if you're fit, ready, willing and able to play, and you do play and attend all the trainings and don't breach the contract, then they have to pay you. The advantage of the 10-year deal for the players is if, maybe they could have made more than that in a 3-year block, but they won't make that for the rest of the 7 years. You get the asset for the rest of their career, basically. You might have to put up with a few lean years. hopefully not more than 5.
Yeah. And Tim said, is the percentage made on contracts a fixed rate on all contracts?
For agents, so you see between 6 and 10%. So there's no fixed percentage. You can actually charge whatever you want, but that's the going rate. I think the most common one's 7%. I see though, or I hear about at least.
Okay.
You know, when I talk about guys, I'm like, oh, what do you used to be on? Oh, what was the usual percentage? I usually hear 7.
Okay.
Sometimes I hear 10, and I'm like, fuck that. But yeah.
Yeah. And finally, the last one we got here is from Cigar, who sent it to me on the email today. He said, I was wondering, have any other agents tried to steal any players that you're looking to sign, or has any agent called to say stay away from certain players they were looking to sign? Is there some kind of policy or rule that keeps agents from stealing players from another agent?
Yeah, so this is how it works if you're interested in a player. You have to reach out to the RLPA and the board and say, is this player being managed, before you approach them. If they come back with yes, then you can't approach the player. If you're found to be approaching the player, then you're in breach of the rules and you get in trouble, which can be, you know, a warning, a suspension, a fine. There's a few penalties that they impose. The only time that I've ever seen a dispute about a player is one that their agreement's lapsed, and I've made a pitch for the player and they've said, hold up, this is my player, and I've said, well, no, he isn't. He used to be a player, and you might well sign him again, but he's reached out to me and wants to chat, so I'm going to make my pitch, and whoever he signs with, so be it.
There you go.
Yep. All right, you fellas have any other questions that you want to ask?
No, that's been very informative.
So what is your average day look like? How is it structured?
It depends what month it is, really. But in October and November, I'm balls to the walls trying to find opportunities for my guys. Reaching out to I basically say, what level are you looking to play and which club are you interested in? I reach out to all those clubs and their recruiters, see if there's any information. Advocate for my player to see what there is. Obviously, if there's no interest, then we have to reset the parameters and go from there. But it's been a hectic month, and it will be a hectic month next too to wrap up all the deals. But say, during the start of the season, my job is just to make sure everyone's still happy with their club and getting their game time and everything's going well.
Yeah,
nice.
So it's busier than others. Sometimes busier than others. In short.
Mentioned at the start that you just got your first NRL player. I mean, do you want to talk more about that? I mean, given that you've not only did you get the player, but he's also recently signed a new deal.
Yeah, sorry, I did gloss over that.
Presumably straight after this is a deal that was your doing.
Yeah, so I did say I signed an NRL player without saying who, but I signed Saliba Havili, formerly of the Canberra Raiders, now playing for Souths on a 2-year contract. It's great to have someone like him on board. He's got over 100 games of NRL experience. He's played for New Zealand and Tonga, and he'll probably be the starting hooker and in the leadership group for Tonga at next year's World Cup. So he's on a 2-year deal with the Bunnies, and he's come to me at this stage of his career because as a lawyer especially, I've got advantages, and he even said that himself, that he thinks at the back end of his career, where he only has a few contracts left, he needs someone that can give him sound commercial advice and can assist him as he transitions away from the game.
Right.
There you go. Fuck yeah.
How good.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, that was going to be my pitch, but he said it himself, so that was that was half the battle. But I'm glad that he saw and he made a commercially sensible decision. Because say if he wanted to purchase properties, I could do that for him without having to go see another lawyer and pay more money to. If he wanted to get up some building contracts or any number of commercial contracts, I can do them for him. I've also formed an alliance with Gun Financial Planner, who I'll with not only Saliba but other NRL talent again in the future. I'll get them to discuss investment strategies with him to make their money last, so that the players aren't forced to be on the tools within a week of retirement.
Yeah, gotcha.
Excellent.
Yeah, good.
Perfect.
All right, mate.
Yeah.
If you guys don't have any other questions, then well, thank Michael for his time again. Love these things. We might have to revisit for episode 3 of Ask the Agent this time next year, and see how things have expanded in the empire at that point.
Mate, you just let us know what size T-shirts to send for your players to do interviews in.
Yeah, very good. Look, might release some merch. I'll maybe give Glennie a shirt. He can be one of my official scouts up there in Toowoomba.
Fucking oath. Young Jackson Blakely just revealed this evening that he's making a comeback to rugby league next season. So you get first dibs on his signature, mate.
Can you get one for Glennie that says RSO, Registered Strive Officer?
You are a piece of shit, mate. So
tremendous.
All the other future Broncos number 7s are off the table now. The main man's coming back.
Perfect. You want him to play for the Tigers?
Look, actually, what I would really like him to do is sign a lucrative contract with his first love, American football, and and then I don't have to fuck around working for a living, ever. Nor in the next 5 generations of our family. So if he pulls his finger out, no pressure.
Yeah, that non-guaranteed NFL money, mate, I don't know.
It's only non-guaranteed if you're not good.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Because he's your lineage, he must be this absolute weapon.
And like, did you
despite all of that, he's actually very athletic and quite handsome.
Oh, yeah, also yeah, sorry.
So I say don't act surprised. I mean, like he will go and he'll trump up some farmer's kid as the next halfback for the Brisbane Broncos. What do you think he's going to do with his own kid? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, so a couple of episodes back, I recall Glennie invited me to stay at his house to come check out some of the local talent for myself. So I will be taking you up on that offer at some stage, Glennie.
Yeah, absolutely. You're always welcome, mate.
Did you hear how he got his wife?
I just want to take a trip in the car, Michael.
I'll have to put the noise cancels on so I can't hear him getting choked out at night when I'm sleeping.
But no, in all seriousness, mate, you're always welcome at our house, and if you happen to be up this way and taking in the considerable talents of the Toowoomba and surrounding areas with regards to rugby league or plenty of other sports, mates, you're always welcome at our home.
Yeah, I probably will.
Despite the fact you are a piece of shit.
I probably will spend a night up that way, just because I said my guy, he'll be signing with I think they're now called the Clydesdales up there in Toowoomba. Yep. So he'll be playing with them again. So, I'll definitely.
And don't be surprised, that whole Clydesdales thing, I believe that one of the 3 wealthy families in Toowoomba will get behind it. I would imagine it'll probably be the Wagners. And there'll be some sort of facility out towards Wellcamp, and that thing is going to take on fucking legs if it gets going. So
look at you name dropping the Wagners.
Oh mate, it's fucking crazy, absolutely crazy.
But that is such a fucking small country town thing to do, like to just drop a family name, like every cunt knows who they are. It's like Adam from Counting Crows.
Adam Adzi.
Adzi Wagner.
Why did we do this again? I thought it was to inform people and answer their fucking questions. It's just been an absolute boot the Glennie.
So what you're saying is it fits neatly within the pantheon of all of our other episodes this season.
Yeah.
Congrats on a huge season too, guys. It's been my favourite one to date as well, and you're a big part of that, Glennie.
Of course it has.
To give you your dues.
Yeah, a massive part. The revelation of the fucking year, as awarded, not a week ago.
I regret saying that immediately.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, there's no pay, there's no reward in being polite and gracious, Michael.
Don't worry, Michael. Tyrone May got a ring as well. Don't worry.
I mean, if you want any more evidence that it's an asterisk season this year, I mean, like, what do you need?
Fucking voted by our listeners. How dare you?
Yeah, our listeners.
Those fucking guys.
Asterisk Ivan's daughters, the lot of them.
He had to take many
All right, Michael.
Glennie.
Thanks very much for your time again, mate, and continued success with Strive as well. It's been amazing over the last 12 months just to watch the growth that you've experienced, and look forward to more future big wins.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to the next meetup where I can see you.
I'll see you in Toowoomba.
You can stop breadcrumbing me up until then.
And all right, folks, that makes it full time for episode 442. As always, you can go ahead to thisweekinleague.com/links and you can get links to the Patreon and all the social media, Facebook group, all that shit. New merch will be coming shortly, especially now. This is the final regular Wednesday night episode of what was all those hearts just flying all over the screen then.
Just the love. It's just the love.
Just the love. You just put love in here. But,
Fuck, we've come full circle. We started with Hope Solo and now we've got love hearts.
Yeah, this is our final Wednesday, midweek episode of the year and like of the regular show as well. I mean, membersodes will continue throughout the off season. However, this is the last regularly scheduled episode of the show. And Jay's put up his Hope Solo background behind his fucking Skype picture again. So I guess, do you have any wrap up questions for the year for the show, boys? Well, not questions, comments.
Will forever be remembered as the greatest premiership in the history of the sport.
We just said it was an asterisk fucking year. You can't have it both ways.
No, it's not at all. Not at all.
It's either the greatest win and you acknowledge Glennie's revelation, or it's a big asterisk win and him winning was a pile of shit.
Pick your poison, motherfucker.
I'm saying even within the greatest win of the season, not everything's perfect. Not everything's perfect.
And Glennie, I think you had your say last week.
Yeah, I said everything.
You were all
last
emotional
week.
and everything, and it was lovely. And
I don't know. I was
loved it.
emotional. I was just honest, Nathan. You should try it sometime. You piece of shit.
Get it all out in the last episode.
It is. Well, I'd like to thank the listeners and also Jay and also Michael for being on the show this year. And I'd like to specify no one else. It's strictly those people and only those named and no one else. And I don't want anyone to misconstrue anything here. Literally no one else. And
You've officially ended the year as Greg.
Salty Greg.
But as always, love the listeners and love. It's just such a great community, and for everyone who's it's been a tough year for a lot of people, tough 2 years I think for a lot of people, and it's just great to see the community sort of get around everybody and that sort of thing, and have each other's backs, and it's just it's awesome to see, and so I guess Patreon patrons, we'll be talking to you guys regularly over the coming Sunday evening, Sunday Mondays, I would say over the coming months.
Yep.
But everyone else. That's it.
See you for the repeat season.
Not the repeat of Glennie getting the Revelation season, that's for sure.
Please.
I'm not even putting it on a ballot. Fuck that. I'll learn my lesson now.
I'll make my own ballot, bitch. Vote one me.
You'll have a paid fan event with you if you're not reclusive.
How good.
All right. So everyone, have a great holiday season. Have a great off season. Train the house down. Don't be a don't be a Sam Cassiano. I guess be a whoever trains the house down over the off season. I'm trying to think.
Get a manager.
Thank you. Thanks for the plug.
And if anyone has players that aren't currently tied down and are looking for an ethical guy to guide their young career, giving them, not just one of the best shots in life, but also in the NRL, how do they get in touch with you, Michael?
So at Strive Player Agency for both Facebook and Instagram, or you can visit the website and submit a contact us form, and I'll get back to you shortly.
Great. And is there like an OnlyFans or something as well? Or
Yeah, extreme fetish. I could see when you said tied down before, Glenn's face lit up, so it'll definitely be something with ropes.
Jeez,
OnlyFans is the third party of 2022.
I want to leave you with one final question, and I'm going to ask that you put the your answer to this question in the Facebook group.
Sure.
What the fuck would you do if you were Ennis Cantor's manager? So I'll leave you to Google him and news.
Oh, is there something else?
And put that answer in there.
Okay, we'll do.
All right. On that note, fellas, see you next year.
That you will.
See ya.
Later.
Can't wait. See ya.